you students might have previously heard of the word construction planning and project management. So basically, this is the new topic which has been introduced in several BTech colleges and even several management colleges as well. In this webinar, we will discuss what are the essence of this course, what is the future scope, and how this course is related to in our construction industries, and what are the importance. So as we all know that construction is the ultimate object of the design, and management is the art of a good construction. Having that philosophy, I will welcome to all of you, and let's begin. We will first see what are the topics that we will cover. First, I will describe you about the importance, and I will give the brief about this course. Then the importance of this course, what are these applications, and being a project manager, if you have done this course and if you want to be a good project engineer, what department and activities you should manage, how you should manage physical and financial activities at site, and manage those staff. We will see some photos in order to better understand the physical and practical knowledge of the construction industry. We will see further some techniques and network analysis, and what are the tools to manage the project management at site. And further, we will see some example. I will take a practical example as well in order to deal with and describe you more about the planning and scheduling part. Okay. Then what are the essence of this course from the career point of view? What are the positions that we might seek in the future if we have done this course in our colleges, or if we are interested in construction planning and projects management? What are the scopes for the future, and what are the basic key areas where we can look for ourselves to be settled, or to look in the future that which variety of job we need to be prefer having this course. And obviously, completion of this course is not fulfilled without having some software. So we will discuss some software as well. What are the tools that we might need, and how these tools are used in order to understand the construction project management. And finally, last but not the least, we should have what we will understand throughout this course, and what should be our final career goal, where we want to finally settle. I mean, what are the good and the best positions that we might look in the career. Okay, so let's start. So construction planning, as you might have heard word of that, it is not a new terms. It has been used previously from the several construction industries. Even US, UK, it has been used for previously like 100 years, and it is very advanced level of course that has been used. Okay, initially it has been used only for the planning and scheduling, not for the execution or any tracking of this activity. But currently, it has been used in a detailed point of view in order to better understand and execute the project. Okay, so construction project management is a process of managing a project with a various technique and skills. So construction management, basically, it may be defined as an art of planning, coordinating, and controlling various construction activities of a project to produce qualitative and economical product with available resources. What are the resources that we will discuss further? But basically, management of any construction projects deal with planning, controlling, and construction activities in order to have a proper economical product. Okay. Or if you want to, if I want to define it in a more way, I can say a collective effort of employers and employee to achieve a specific and desired objective with available capital, equipments, and materials. Having these kind of resources, we can fulfill the project. So that might need a construction project management. Okay. So the execution of any projects needs the coordination of several departments, and also should have a project leader who control all the department and has a sound knowledge about the project start to finish. So I need to say that if you need to execute any project, and if you are the head of that project, so you should have a you should have at least a good project leader. You should be at least a good project leader who can manage all the departments. There are several departments that has been introduced with one particular single person that is going to manage the project. He should have at least knowledge about the pre-starting of a project and post-finish of the project. Okay, I mean, he should have at least in-depth knowledge of each and every variety aspects of the project, so that he can finish the projects and understand the each and every departments in a better way. Okay, so this is the term where construction planning and project management comes into the picture, because we have to manage several departments and we should have a knowledge about of the project from starting to the finish. Okay, so the part of this webinar also includes application of construction planning project management in civil industry. So in this webinar, we will detail analysis the practical aspects of planning and project management. We will just not go by the theoretical aspects, and we will not just go by the bookish knowledge, but we will also include several practical aspects at this site, how we used to execute the project, what are the issues that we can find at the site. This type of a thing that we need to understand at the site. Okay, so in this webinar, we will learn about planning, execution, monitoring of a process of any construction project. For if we see for any developing country, if we see for any developing countries, there are always a large side of projects going on. There's a huge scale of projects always going on. So basically, that requires a large of manpower, equipment, resources, material. So in order to understand those type of aspects, we have to understand how to manage this type of aspects like material, manpower, equipment, and resources. Basically, if I am the project manager, for example, I should have in-depth knowledge of planning. Planning consists of how to sequelize the activity, what activity that is going to be the part of our project, and then execution, how we are going to execute this planning by having a schedule and making it act for the execution, and then monitoring this activity. Okay, so basically this all is the integral part of this course. Okay, and if we see further, the construction project management is a very important tool for every civil engineer to learn, as it is gives the broader knowledge about execution and controlling of project. Basically, construction project management is not about having going for any one particular line and is studying that particular part only, but it's basically the variety of a course. It's not only that much depth, but also a width course, which includes all the aspects of a construction. I mean, you should have a knowledge of, for example, geotechnical report. You should have a sound knowledge of designing. You should have a good knowledge of planning, execution. You should have a good knowledge of all the aspects like procurement, HR, bidding, tendering, all the departments knowledge you should have. So those are the aspects in detail we will discuss as we go. Further topics we will discuss, I will describe it to more and more and clear way, so that in order to understand you in a practical example, in a practical way, you can, whenever you work at the site or whenever you join the construction industry, at least you should have a knowledge, pre-knowledge. At least you should have a pre-knowledge to describe or to execute any kind of a project. So there is no need to worry. As we go further step by step, we will describe it more to you. So the project duration as well as cost optimization is also the very important part in the construction planning and project. Yes, the cost optimization, where this cost optimization part will come, when we will have a proper planning and execution. For that, we need to prepare a cash flow. Okay, what is the cash flow? Cash flow basically it is the fund that we are going to use at the site during execution of the project. Okay, for example, if there is any project of 100 crores, so initially we obviously we do not need all the 100 crores. we need some kind of amount to execute some activity and then some kind of amount to execute some different activity. So the process of execution of this activity requires different kind of a cash flow. So as the activity goes on, it requires different kind of funds. So that cash flow maintenance, we will understand as I will describe it to you more and more. I will describe the cash flow part as well. In this cash flow part, how you can optimize, how we can optimize any kind of a project. I mean, resourcing or planning with cost optimization, we can do having a proper preparation of a cash flow. That part we will understand. So that was the bit part introduction about the construction planning. So now we see what are the important, what is the significance of this course? I mean, why are we studying this course? Is it too much relevant for our construction industry, or is it just a part of our, I mean, subjective course? So if you will see any site, civil industry is not about working only on this software or any system, but if you work in a civil industry, you should have at least site knowledge. You should have a practical aspects knowledge at the site. You should have a knowledge of manpower, labor, execution activities, because whenever we study in our college, the subjects are much more, you will see subjective knowledge is much more different than our practical knowledge. You will see several type of a problem at the site while execution is going on that has never been taught in your course. So I will pre-exercise you that kind of issues. I will pre-introduce to you what are the part that is used, and also I will introduce to you about the financial and physical part of this activity. For example, like if there is any projects going on, the physical activity, the labor which is working there, the machinery, the manpower which is working there, what are these machinery manpower used, and the financial part which will be used to execute that productivity, to execute that activity, what are the financial funding required, that part we understand. So I will brief it to you sequentially with financial and physical part. Okay, so basically the purpose of this project management course is to execution of a project at a very low cost and execution of a project with less time, or achieving it within a limited milestone. There are limited certain milestones will be given from the client side that we need to consider while executing the project. So having a good essence or good sense knowledge of construction planning and project management, we will plan. I will describe it to how we can plan those activity within low cost, and we can achieve the milestone of this activity. And optimum utilization of the resources. Okay, we will see what are the resources that we can use for the optimum use. Resources, here is the term, I will describe it to you a bit detail here. If you want to see the resources, you need to remember M5 term. Okay, M5 term, it is very important. First term is the manpower. Second term is money. Third term is material. Fourth term is machine. And fifth term, the most important term, that is management. So these five terms comes under resources part. Okay, so M5 term you have to remember: money, manpower, material, machine, and management, consisting of these all tools also make a resource of any particular activity. So optimization and utilization of resources we will learn. If there is any large project, and suppose we cannot have all too much labor at the site to increase the financial cost, so we need to optimize the manpower, and parallelly we cannot we cannot add all our fund, we cannot add all our cash flow simultaneously for any activity. So we need to optimize those financial part. We need to manage the money which is coming, that is the from the client side. Okay, what are the material requirements is there, and how we can using some techniques, methods, or using some properties of material, how we can achieve the same strength having less material, having less time. Okay, what are the machinery, we will see how we can uh, show the productivity, or how we can increase the productivity of different machines, and how this using this productivity, how we can check the number of requirement of machinery for any particular project. Machine part include basically the plants and machinery parallelly, both part includes the machinery. And the last part is the management, managing all these aspects and allocating more resources where required and reducing resources where it is not required is called the management part. These 5 terms is known as the resources. We will see in depth and detail about these 5 terms as we go further on the webinar. Also, the important of this course is how we will learn about monitoring of the construction activities. Construction activities not consist of only 1 or 2 terms. It has several type of construction activities. For like large scale of project, there might be thousands of construction activities that need to be managed. So you should have at least good knowledge or in-depth knowledge that which activity will take how much time. So anyone cannot make you fool that if there is any contractor, he will say to you that, sir, this activity will delay for 15 days, this activity will delay for 10 days. So if you have good knowledge of actually execution of the project, and you have this experience of this side, then you can monitor the construction activity easily. Finding the critical activity at site and change to balance activity. Yes. First, you need to learn what is the critical activity. Critical activity is the activity at site which is delaying the project, which has the longest path. As you will see, I will derive it to you more way, but I will just brief it to you now. The critical activity is the activity which has the longest path and which might delay the project. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to change this activity into the balance activity. Okay, so that the whole project shall be delayed simultaneously, not shall be increased because of this critical activity. I will describe about this critical activity having some good example as we go future, as I will describe it to you more and more about this webinar. Physical and financial tracking of site progress. Physically activity means at the site. Okay, physically activity means at the site activity that is going on with the labor, plant, machinery, equipments, and using store material. And financially aspects is consist of our cash flow part, that is our budget part. Okay, so these both parts shall be managed together. We will learn this is the very important part actually, because we being a good manager or being a good engineer at this site, if I having the authority to control the project, I should have properly in-depth knowledge of physically and financially tracking. No need to worry, I am here to teach you about those aspects. I will detail explain you financially monitoring of the activity, physically monitoring of the activity at the site. This webinar will be a bit different than your book knowledge, because I will consist you of several practical side problems. I will consist you those part as well which has been used in a construction industry as a practical, which is not being taught in the colleges. Okay, but is very important, that is used in construction industry. So I will brief it those part in order to better understand the construction project management. Okay, in colleges mostly it deals with planning and scheduling part, but I will describe it to you more with planning, scheduling as well, and the site execution and the industrial uses. How what are the things that we use in industry? I mean, if you have studied, just graduated from college, okay, you have a book knowledge, but you don't know what are the practical aspects at site will be used. I will describe it to you here. Okay, and those aspects, how these aspects are going to be managed using which software and which process, that I will explain to you using this webinar. Okay. So if I am the construction manager, okay, I'm not saying I'm the head of the project. I'm just a construction manager. What I'm doing, I'm managing a project. I'm not whole head of the project. I'm only managing of the construction part. I'm the managing. Okay. So what are the important of this course? If I'm the construction manager, I will I should have a knowledge about several departments which has been added to the construction field. Okay, I mean the output which comes from the construction and the input which comes to the construction, that both part we need to understand. So if we see here in the chart, if we see clearly that I have used several type of department and several type of a process that is being that should have been understood by a construction manager. These all part I will explain it to you in a detail, having each and every topic separately. Okay, this part needs in itself a separate lecture, but I will just a bit describe it to you over here. Project, you should have a knowledge of a project control. Being a construction manager, you should know how a project can be executed within short time. Okay, within optimized time. Optimized time means not more, not less. Okay, why I'm saying not more, not less? Because if we add more resources, we can finish the projects earlier, but we might leads to loss of finance. However, if we use too much less resources, then our projects might delayed, which will also delay the financial billing part. Okay, so your project control should be optimized when you do the proper planning. Account and finance part, you should have a good knowledge of account and finance part. So I will describe it to you more about what are the finance aspects and account part. Account part basically the consist of the finance consist of the pre-bid before having the project and the post-bid after completion of the project, considering of performance security, bid security, this type of amount that which basically deals with the bank. Okay, from the client to concessionaire. This part we also see in the detail. Activity estimation for a construction manager. If there are several type of activity, a good construction manager should have knowledge of each and every activity, what type of activity will be executed and what type of activity requires which type of material, manpower, machinery and labor, because for separate activity or any unique activity might require a different skilled labor. So we will understand that part as well. Okay, cost controlling we will see. Project MIS part we will see. Okay, project MIS means management information system. So if there is any part of a site that has been executed, so we cannot just call to the management consists of upper level people like director of the company or client head or the authority or the project head. Okay, so these people just like we cannot mail them or we cannot just call them to brief it about the project. We need to have a proper report, proper system or proper format that should be presented to the management. Okay, so having a good construction manager, we will see how to prepare the MIS, how in construction industries from a practical aspects of it is prepared and submitted to the management in order to monitoring of the construction activity, how we should schedule. Scheduling is also important. I mean, we will first need to be approval from the authority in order to sequentialize the activity. That first activity we will do this and later we will do this. Then only we need to prepare a flow chart consisting of construction activity in which we will describe how we are going to execute the project. Okay, field engineering knowledge should be there. I mean, if there is any site issues or if there is any other kind of a if you see that in construction projects there are several site issues. For example, if I would see if there are villagers are coming in any road and people are not going to leave that place. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to manage those people, you need to remove their houses, and so you should have a good sense of humor to talk to the people. It's not like you can go and scold to them, you cannot do that. Okay, so you should have a field engineering knowledge, and if there is any suppose road we need to construct, but separately you need to dismantle that. So you need to construct a temporary bridge aside that road. Okay, so before execution you should have a knowledge what are the site issues, what are the land availabilities, what are the geotechnical requirements. Okay, what are the best way, where should we construct, the knowledge, what are the local environment there, what are the local position there. You should have at least field knowledge being a good construction management manager. Okay, you should have a good knowledge of documentation. Okay, we will see what type of a filation, what type of documentation, what type of report with it that we need to be submit to the authority, and what type of data that we need to be collect in a practical construction point of view. Okay, we will see the survey part. Okay, survey part also we will check in order to maintain the quality and also the quantity checking. These both part we will see in detail. Procurement basically consists of the output of the material, procuring of the material and having a good quality and sending it to the site with as per our site calculation. So procurement should be done properly. It should have good quality check as well as quantity checks. Okay, quantity check, that is not mandatory. If suppose somewhere required it is 10 cubic meter and we have used 8 cubic meter quantity, then we saved the quantity. No, we should have not that kind of a philosophy. That means we have optimized our quality. Okay, we have somehow we are lagging to maintain the quality. That is why we have not used 10 cubic meter. So that is not we have saved 2 cubic meter concrete, but we have compromised with our quality. So that part we will see in procurement. Machinery report we need to see on the daily basis. A project construction manager need to see what are the machineries output, like if there is a HMP hot mix plant, how much activity of that plant. Yeah, if there is RMC means ready mix concrete plant, what is this output of that material. So having checked this type of output, we will manage the site, because if we need to be planned to execute at this site, suppose 10 cubic meter concrete. Okay, but our plant is giving only 5 cubic meter quantity per day, so we cannot execute 10 cubic meter in a single day. So what we need to do, we need to at least set up 2 plants having the same capacity. Okay, or we need to have a separate type of advanced equipment in order to maintain the quantity of 10 cubic meter per day. So that part also we will see in detail as we go along in this webinar. Material tracking we can check. Material tracking, how construction manager used to check. Basically it deals with the storage of a material. Okay, and what are the material that has been already used as site, so that the difference should be actually the quantity that received at the site. Okay, so material tracking, for tracking of the material, there are several reports that is used for the preparation of like RFI or for like bridge report that we need to do on the daily basis. That part we will also see. We can track the material part. Billing part also, a good construction manager should have a knowledge in depth, because billing is not about only the quantity, rate, and final amount, but also the consist of several taxation part, several clauses, or all are there, having like retention money or delaying, we should cut the payment, or if there's any quality compromise, we need to cut the amount, or if he had not used any equipment that has been introduced in the clauses, that need to cut the payment of the contractor. So billing is also consists two part. One part is the client part, and the second part is the contractor part. Okay, we will see separately both part. We will see separately both part, how client billing is done and how contractor billing is done. Client billing is basically, if suppose I am the concessionaire, I have taken the project for suppose 100 rupees. Okay, so client will give me 100 rupees. So in which process I need to give my bill to the client, that part is deals with the client billing. And if suppose I have taken 100 rupees project, and I have a contractor of other contractor of 50 rupees, I have given 50% of my work, that is 15 rupees, to some other contractor. So that contractor billing need to be checked by myself. So that part how we will deal, we will see in detail. Okay, we will see also preparation of the RA bill, that is running account bill. Running account basically will deals with the client and the concessionaire both. We will see in detail. Okay, so having a good construction manager, all these aspects he should have known, or a good construction project should have idea. In this course we will discuss all these points in detail, in depth. There's no need to worry if you are not able to understand any part of this topic. I will describe it to you later in a more described in a more specific way, having a separate lecture of each topic. Okay, so because this topic in itself a separate lecture. Okay, so I have tried my best as much as I can explain it to you. Okay, so let's move along.